Good evening. I'm Darren Danielson for WDIO News. Well, Duluth Mayor Emily Larson is getting set to deliver what will be her 6th State of the City address. The event is being held in person at the deck in the Harborside Ballroom. Doors opened actually at 6 o'clock tonight. There's limited seating there. It's on a first-come, first-served basis. City officials are strongly encouraging anyone who does end up attending to wear a mask. Eric Forsman is the Duluth City Council president this year and is going to be taking to the podium, if he hasn't already, to introduce the mayor. Let's go live now to the deck for the mayor's State of the City address.
Our two newest elected city councilors, Councilor Ezreen Owl and Councilor Mike Mayo, are here with us. The 2022 council is made up of dedicated people who genuinely want to serve the city of Duluth and make it a better place. And it's my pleasure and honor to work with you and help lead you this year in partnership with Council Vice President Kennedy. So I look forward to the rest of our work together. I also saw a few other elected officials, so I hope that I don't miss anybody, but please call out if I did. We have St. Louis County Attorney Kim Mackey here. And then we have a couple of appointed officials, too, with Hannah Alstead with Senator Smith's office, and I believe I saw Rachel Loeffler-Kemp from Senator Klobuchar's office. If there's anybody else I miss, feel free to raise your hand quick. Okay, I'm sure there's people joining us virtually, too. While the council was able to pivot and serve our citizens online these past 24 months, we know that wasn't the case for many of the people who are actually the most important to keeping our city moving forward, our city workers. Many city workers had to reinvent how to provide their services to the public during the pandemic. And in particular, our fire, police, public works, parks maintenance, and many other folks kept showing up in person during COVID day in and day out, risking their safety to serve us. We as elected officials should never take for granted the sacrifice and dedication of our city workers and what they give for each and every one of us. And when challenging discussions like the city's health care plan are being brought forward, the long-term ability to recruit and retain our staff must be top of mind. At this time, I'd like to ask all of our city workers to please stand and be recognized for your service to the city of Duluth. The City Council has our work cut out for us this year. There are many worthy priorities to focus on, opportunities to jump on, and obstacles to overcome. And as we see a ruthless dictator invade a free country half a world away, let us take the opportunity as we gather back together in our council chambers to reflect on our democratic values and recommit ourselves to service to all Duluthians to make our city an even better place to live and raise a family. Speaking of family, mine is watching from home tonight. So I want to say hi, Arlo, and hi, Amelia. And I'd like to now introduce the woman who one of my children barked at the first time they met her, absolutely mortifying my wife, Jessica. So please join me in welcoming the Mayor of Duluth, Emily Larson.
Oh, thank you, President Forsman. You know, having kids bark at you, it's not so bad compared to what I get sometimes. So that was great. Hey, Arlo and Amelia. And hello and thank you to people who are watching virtually. I know we have a really big audience tonight, and we're really excited and grateful that you're paying attention to what's happening at the City of Duluth in a place and space that you're comfortable and safe. And I want to say thank you to my friends and family who I know are watching virtually and letting me know via text and conversation that's happening. I want to thank the Lake Superior Youth Chorus. They were awesome. That was so fun. So if we can just give one more round of applause. Really amazing to see and feel that energy. I want to thank our color guard for being here and for your service. Our city staff, thank you, President Forsman, for your commitment and your words about the direction of the city and also protecting and ensuring we have a great place for staff to work. I want to thank our leadership team at the City of Duluth. Their names are listed. They play a multitude of really important roles to make sure that the city continues to operate for everyone. Councilors, and thank you, President Forsman, Vice President Kennedy, and councilors for being here and for your service. I want to thank our team of directors, which are here, who have helped in substantial ways to shape this speech and our work for the next year. Particularly for this event, I want to thank Bronwyn Bauer, Phil Jentz, Alicia Kozlowski, and Kate Van Dale, who do a tremendous amount to keep that going. I want to thank Noah Schuckman, who is our Chief Administrative Officer and my thought partner at work, Eric Peterson, who is a thought partner outside of it. And then my mom, Narita, is here. If you haven't met her, you really need to. My sister, Jessica, my parents, Narita, Lee and Pam, I know are watching virtually. I really want to thank my husband, Doug, who is really extraordinary, and anybody who has served in public office understands what their spouse gives with you. I just want you to know that I know that, and not many people really know and understand what this job is like, but you're one of them, and I'm just so grateful we're in this life together. And I know we miss our sons. We were just saying the last time we were all together, our sons were with us, and now we're empty nesters, so we should go out for a beer after and celebrate. I'm so excited to be here tonight. I love this speech, and I'm a firm believer that everyone who's here is who is meant to be here, and this is a great room. It feels really good to be with you, and again, people in a virtual room, welcome and thank you. I'm excited to get started. Tonight, we are on ancestral and contemporary homelands of the Dakota, Ojibwe, and many Native nations, known as Masabakong, meaning place of the giants. This place holds cultural, spiritual, and historical significance. For over 500 years, Native peoples have demonstrated resistance in the face of violent efforts to separate them from their land, culture, and each other. A series of treaties ceded massive amounts of land and resources, amassing wealth at the expense of Indigenous peoples. Despite those losses, the Indigenous treaty negotiators maintained important rights for the Indigenous people within the ceded lands, which includes Duluth. Amidst the backdrop of colonization and its modern inequities, Indigenous peoples have been here and will always be here, demonstrating their distinct political status, cultural defiance, and strengths. We believe our relationships and history shape and define our future. We're actively building relationships based on mutual respect and trust with the Duluth Indigenous community and neighboring tribal nations. But these words at the top of a speech can't possibly do justice to that history or to our relationships. The implications go beyond words, and we are committed to embedding an understanding of our obligations and addressing systemic inequities in city decisions. We vow to illuminate the vibrance of Native voices, contributions, wisdom, lived experiences, and innovations. And in keeping with this commitment, we will be releasing soon an expanded land acknowledgement with deeper context and Indigenous-led resources. So, I love to run in the early mornings. I find clarity during this quiet time on the edge of darkness and light. I get up early and set out in that flat pre-dawn light before the sun rises. And by the end of my run, as I head back home, the first rays of light begin to peek out over that lake, and a new day beckons. Light returns, and I am ready for the work that lies ahead. I've been thinking a lot about darkness and light these days. A little over a year ago, Amanda Gorman opened her inauguration poem, "The Hill We Climb," speaking of light and darkness. When day comes, we ask ourselves, where can we find light in this never-ending shade? She continued, and yet the dawn is ours before we knew it. Somehow we do it. Somehow we weathered and witnessed a nation that isn't broken, but simply unfinished. We have weathered a storm these past 2 years, a difficult and dark one. Older residents feel it in their isolation. Parents feel it in their exhausted bones. Young people feel it in their anxiety over their future. All of us, we are tired and we are frustrated. We've been living in a lot of darkness, and it has brought real struggle and challenge. But tonight, I want to focus on finding our light, to celebrate what we've accomplished together and focus on the good and important work ahead. In my first State of the City, 7 years ago now, I laid out my vision for Duluth, and it's still my vision today. I promised a healthy, prosperous, sustainable, fair, and inclusive community for all neighbors across all neighborhoods. I promised diversified economic growth and meaningful jobs, a community where everyone has a safe place to call home. I promised our future would be powered with clean and renewable energy. And over the last 6 years, we've made progress, some real progress towards this vision. And yes, we still have lots of work to do. But time and again, over the course of these years, when my administration lays down a goal, we get things done. The key investments, the focus priorities, and the resulting successes have moved us forward and toward my vision of a fair and inclusive community where both people and workers and business can thrive. Looking back, we have used every lever we have had to get things done. And looking ahead, we will continue to do so to build this bright and bold community. I've identified 4 key areas of focus this year: economic development, public safety, connectivity, sustainability. These are all linked and together light a path towards a more resilient, prosperous, and sustainable future. So let's start with economic development. I'm sometimes asked why I don't talk about economic development more. And I have to say, this question truly puzzles me because almost everything we have done over the past 6 years has focused on the key ingredients to support inclusive economic development. So let me start with some background. Duluth is no longer the buffeted city knocked back by recession and deindustrialization that I first experienced as a visitor in the 1980s. During those bleak economic times, self-doubt crept in and grabbed hold, established a scarcity mindset which too often saw any job, any project as good enough. But we are no longer that city living in economic shadows. We can embrace with pride that we are a community that doesn't just respond to economic development, we lead it. And the facts bear this out. Last year, we had a record number of building permits and $500 million of investment, more than double the previous year and the 3rd year of record investment in a row. Major businesses are making new private investment bets on Duluth, from Costco to ST Paper to Cirrus and beyond. These are businesses that chose Duluth, and we have their back. Where once we had to beat the bushes trying to find new investors, now we are fielding constant inquiries about new investments into Duluth. Because we are a city that believes in ourselves, a city that invests in itself. We expect and deserve more than ever before, and rightfully so. Today in Duluth, a project needs to be more than just shovel-ready. It needs to be shovel-worthy. And this holistic view of economic development is working. When you survey actual businesses about what they look for in a community, they seldom say fewer services or benefits. But instead, they talk about a solid infrastructure, reliable and qualified workforce, housing, access to childcare, transportation, and very high on that list, a great quality of life. These are the core ingredients of economic development that we have focused on. So let's look at a few of those. We have and will continue to invest heavily in updating Duluth's key infrastructure. Street reconstruction now averages 14 miles per year. This is up from 2 miles a year when I took office. We're investing in stormwater management and replacing our 100-year-old water mains to ensure reliable and clean drinking water. We are committed to getting the lead out so all kids in this community can thrive. We have made the Lake Walk more resilient, more accessible, beautiful, and durable than ever, and we're building everything with climate adaptation, and climate change in mind. Housing is a key barrier families and businesses face, and we are meeting this need head on. Since taking office, my administration has added a total of 1,500 new housing units across the city of Duluth. With support from the Duluth City Council, we've established a $4 million housing trust fund to help private sector developers rehab or construct new housing. And at the same time, we announced a new private equity fund to secure private sector money for new affordable housing. Duluth LISC will manage this fund. The community has responded overwhelmingly with millions of dollars, and you will hear more about this in the next few weeks. It is not my announcement to make, but it is a very exciting one for our community. We have dedicated $19 million from the Federal Rescue Plan to build 358 new affordable units and to rehab and preserve 36 more. So from establishing a warming center to packaging sites for scalable single-family home production, we at the city have been fully focused on making sure everyone in this community has a safe, supported place to lay their head at night. And we're making strategic investments in important quality of life experiences, like Spirit Mountain. With our new approach and under new management, for the first time in 10 years, Spirit Mountain made money last year. And now we're asking the state for matching bonding money to make infrastructure improvements that are, and we are pleased that this request made the governor's proposal this session. 2/3 of Spirit Mountain visitors come from out of town for this local attraction. And with these changes and new investments, Spirit Mountain is projected to grow its regional economic impact from $22 million per year today to more than $39 million per year moving forward. So these are just a few examples of our holistic economic development strategies, which are good for Duluth residents and good for our tax base and good for business. But now let's look at where we're going. I want to start with permitting. A persistent complaint I hear is with the city's permitting and review process. And let me say, we hear you. We can and will be better. Our talented staff works within a confusing labyrinth of city departments. We need to make things simpler and clearer for them and for you. So this year, we will be enacting a new online communication tool for frequently asked questions, a new service delivery system to allow staff more one-on-one service, and better and faster response time to all permit processing. And additionally, tonight, I'm announcing that we are implementing a new digital process to review electronic plans because we currently operate on a paper system. That's slowing us down. So soon, multiple departments will be able to complete reviews simultaneously and instantly transmit their response to other departments. Inspectors will have real-time access to compare and discuss plans at job sites. From start to finish, it means fewer meetings and faster and more efficient permitting with quicker turnaround for staff and for our community. Whether you're adding a garage or building a manufacturing facility, the city will do everything in our power to make the permitting and review process clear and fair and efficient. And finally, I will convene an internal audit of our organization to take our economic development strategy to the next level. We have incredible staff and a big vision that we get to build upon. Using an outside perspective to help us facilitate, we will ask the following core economic development questions. Are there internal policies prohibiting growth and development that can be changed? Are there steps in the city process which can be eliminated or made easier? How can we make sure everyone knows all expectations up front? And how can our communication strategy with private sector partners be improved? Our role as a city is to lay out our values and set an economic development vision. to work with community partners to develop a strategy, and then to make clear what is required and ensure our processes are easy to navigate. Because now, right now, it is the time for us to amplify all of the ways we are getting things right, but to also get clear on where we can improve and to make adjustments so that we can match as an organization our strategy to the incredible potential and interest, demand, and need for growth that is out there. Tourism is a key strategy here as it relates to economic development, and we have tremendous room for growth. We're in the midst of launching our new tourism campaign to build a more robust tourism industry. It's one of our most dynamic industries. Millions of people visit our city every year to enjoy our stores, our hotels, our parks, and our restaurants. We want every single one of these visitors to love Duluth like we do. Last year, we expanded partnerships to develop a new promotional strategy. And I know that this decision has been challenging and not without controversy. But I am absolutely convinced that it was the right one. And here's what you can expect moving forward. Canal Park and the waterfront will continue to be key attractions for visitors, and we have a plan to reinvest and reinvigorate promotion for these areas. We are expanding our visuals, our messaging, and markets to connect tourism's economic impact to neighborhood-based businesses and amenities, recognizing that it is our entire community that makes Duluth great. Our new tourism strategy is built around who we are, our people, our pace, our place. It's what we're proud of, and it's what makes Duluth unapologetically unique. So let's head downtown. After we've covered all of these other important areas, I'm excited to talk about our downtown, because key to reimagining tourism and economic development in our business community is actually rethinking our downtown. It's the center of our city, the window to Duluth for millions of annual visitors, and yet the pandemic has changed us. It has changed the way that we work and the way we live, and while it is still too soon to tell whether some of these changes with our downtown will be permanent, I suspect some of them will be. And this has ramifications for how we envision and experience our downtown. We need to make it easier and more inviting for people to work and experience downtown. We need to tackle blighted areas and storefronts and reimagine creative ways to use vacant spaces. And that downtown shoppers parking ramp has got to go. We need to address illegal behaviors, hold offenders accountable, and continue to grow confidence in public safety in our beautiful downtown. And with the increase in the number of people working from home, rather than housing office workers, more downtown space can actually be converted into homes. There's tremendous opportunity, a lot of ideas, and a passion and commitment for getting it right. So now we need to develop a plan to move forward. Tonight, I'm announcing a downtown task force to be co-chaired by Greater Downtown Council President Christy Stokes and Duluth Superior Area Community Foundation President Sean Flurkey. I'm charging this task force with convening partners from the public and private sectors to provide recommendations within 5 months on 4 key areas: downtown safety, downtown activation, downtown investment, and downtown vision. These recommendations will be made public and acted on. This is my 3rd mayor's task force in my tenure as mayor. The other 2 address Spirit Mountain and housing, both with very solid success, and I have every expectation for us to succeed here too. So my thanks to Christy and Sean. I know you're here tonight. Finally, a focus of economic development must encourage homegrown innovation. We can build on Duluth's long history of innovation. And my goal is for Duluth to be the entrepreneurial engine for the state of Minnesota, and it is possible. Because gone are the days when we anxiously hoped for some large out-of-town project or developer to kind of save our day. I mean, we will always, always welcome those projects, for sure, and we will be a good and productive partner with them. But we all know that our future lies in tapping local talent and ingenuity. State programs like Launch Minnesota and Innovate 218 are important resources, but there is so much more we can do right here in Duluth. So I'm excited to announce tonight that Duluth is the first Minnesota city to partner with Heartland Forward and builders and backers to bring their national idea accelerator to our community. Together with the Northland Foundation and the Duluth Area Chamber of Commerce, we will bring new people who have promising ideas into the entrepreneurial ecosystem of Duluth. This initiative targets people who have a good idea, but don't yet have a business plan. Builders and backers will provide a $5,000 grant to participants so they can experiment with and test their idea. If promising, the program can connect participants with other potential investors. Our first-year goal will be to find and fund 10 budding local entrepreneurs with a vision to quickly expand and scale up. The second priority area for me this year is public safety. Last year, I called for Community Policing 2.0, which builds on the department's innovative public safety leadership. And here's where we're at. Police continue to track racial equity statistics, and along with community partners, will soon issue a request for proposals to conduct the full-scale racial bias audit of the department we discussed last year. 2 years into CALIA, a national accreditation program, the department has already added 50 new policies and revised nearly 50 others, including new training and reporting requirements based on best practices rooted in community trust. Duluth will be Minnesota's first public safety department to reach this platinum standard accreditation, and I am so proud of our department for this. We've invested in community coordinated response where embedded mental health experts and social workers partner with first responders to make sure people get the help that they need. And we've adapted our community engagement. Last summer, the department introduced their ice cream truck. It's a retrofitted bus that travels to neighborhoods serving ice cream and hot dogs. And this very simple idea sparked spontaneous pop-up community meetings and made conversations and relationship building possible with residents who would have never shown up to a more formal meeting or felt comfortable having that conversation. These initiatives are deeply rooted in both the humanity of those we serve and the humanity of those who provide the public safety services on behalf of the city of Duluth. So we've been making substantial progress, and there's a lot to be proud of right now, but I think it's also really important to just be real, because ensuring public safety is just hard right now. Over the past 2 years, all of our city workers, all of them, have had to face more mental health incidents, more substance abuse and opioid overdoses, more people forced into homelessness, more domestic violence reports, members of the public having outbursts in our city facilities. There are more people at their snapping point who need help. And we've seen it in a record number of fire and police call-outs. We have heard it in complaints about aggressive panhandling and erratic behaviors. We felt it as more and more residents feel unsafe. And I get it. People have to feel safe for our community to flourish. And people have to have what they need in order to feel safe. The public safety problems we face are deeply complex. And if they were easy, we would have fixed them a long time ago. Our police face a daunting task. We have extraordinary extraordinary leadership in Chief Mike Tuscan and his team. And officers are doing their jobs with the professionalism and care that we depend on and expect and receive. But the pandemic has pushed the criminal justice system, already teetering before the pandemic, over the edge. Backlogged courts, full jails with reduced staffing, probation officers unable to make in-person visits. So there's more to this story, of course, but I want to first be very clear. In Duluth, if you are dangerous, if you are predatory, or you threaten harm to others, you will be arrested and held accountable. Full stop. But as Chief Tuscan has repeatedly said, we also can't arrest our way to a better community. In Duluth, we don't criminalize mental health issues, and we don't criminalize substance abuse problems, and we don't criminalize being homeless. And it's actually too many of these cases that are falling through the cracks. So where does a person with mental health issues go when the few existing places are overwhelmed? They're released. Where does the person without a home go on minus 30-degree days when there are no more shelter beds? They find a public place or a skywalk to try and stay warm and get by. We're stuck in a cycle that isn't working, and we need to change it. Many of these problems reach beyond the control of Duluth. And still tonight, I'm urging us to start. Together with Duluth Police and our City Attorney's Office, I'm calling for a revival of community courts. And the idea is this: bring together key stakeholders in the criminal justice system, judges, probation officers, county and city attorneys, the jail, and police. Identify chronic offenders, develop a plan specific to meet the needs of that person. And sometimes this may involve services to address substance abuse or mental health or housing. Sometimes it means laying out very frank choices and strict accountability. Outcomes include more resources for the police to direct to serious threats, stability for people who need tremendous supports, and a healthier, stronger community. This will not address all public safety challenges, for sure, and we will need many, many partners for it to be effective, but we can start building the wraparound accountability and support and service that this community needs and deserves. My third area of focus this next year is connecting the community. Last year, I made a commitment to take on the Duluth's digital divide, and I should actually say we made a commitment to take on Duluth's digital divide. Reliable high-speed internet is no longer a luxury. It's an essential utility, no less important to our future success than our roads, our water, electricity. And yet many residents deal with unreasonably high prices and unreliable service or no viable digital access altogether. Only 6% of Duluth has access to high-speed fiber optic internet. 6%. To me, this is unacceptable, and it's holding us back. So tonight, I'm laying out a big goal: that every resident and every business in the city of Duluth will have access to affordable, reliable, high-speed, high-quality fiber optic internet within 6 years. It's bold, and it's big, and it's necessary for us to build an inclusive and fair community and economy. And we've already started to chart this path forward. Tonight, I'm asking our Planning and Economic Development Department, along with CAO Noah Schuckman, to submit our plan to achieve this goal to City Council for their approval. In using federal money in the next few months, we're going to get started. We will be initiating a pilot project to enroll about 2,000 homes in the Lincoln Park neighborhood. We're going to use this pilot to evaluate resident interest and installation costs for older housing, among many, many other important factors. This information that we'll gather will help us understand how to go full scale for the entire community. And my commitment is to continue to push with all of my being to ensure that every Duluthian has affordable, reliable, high-speed internet, and I will simply not stop until we get there. The fourth and final area of focus this year will be sustainability. We've made significant progress this past year. For the first time, we are working cross-departmentally towards shared goals in our brand new climate action work plan. We've secured over $680,000 in grants for city and community projects to advance initiatives across the city, and we have millions of dollars in grant proposals pending review right now. Working with Minnesota Power, we're hosting a 1.6 megawatt solar farm on city property with completion expected this year. And we have reduced our municipal greenhouse gas emissions 32% since I took office. So all of this is good news, and we are moving forward as fast as we can on the parts that we directly control. But the problem is the part that we control as a municipality only accounts for about 4% of Duluth's overall problem. There's growing urgency to go bigger and bolder in our actions. Recent science tells us that climate change is accelerating and our window for acting before we reach a point is narrowing as we speak. 5 years ago, we made a pledge to reduce our municipal city government emissions by 80% by 2050. That was bold then, but it is not enough today. And that's why tonight I'm announcing that we are now committed to the city's race to zero, making clear that we aim to achieve carbon neutrality, net zero, by 2050. This commitment is in line with science, and it is essential if we are to remain economically viable as a community. In line with this pledge, we will galvanize a citywide effort to set benchmarks and reduce greenhouse gas emissions across the city. Over the next year, I will be working with our Sustainability Officer, Mindy Granley, to convene business and industry, organizations and community leaders, as well as partners with already existing community-led efforts like the Duluth Citizens Climate Action, to band together with one purpose and one mission to race to zero as one community. In addition, in anticipation of additional federal climate action money, we have identified shovel-ready, shovel-worthy projects which range from building energy efficiency projects to electric vehicle charging stations, to installing solar arrays on city property, to significantly reducing emissions from our municipal water and wastewater pumping. But we must also conserve energy. So we are partnering with community partners like Equilibrium 3 on a Department of Energy grant to improve weatherization and energy savings for Duluth's older housing stock. And finally, we're asking Comfort Systems to prioritize energy efficiency and to find economically feasible clean energy alternatives to natural gas. So, we're at the end of a long speech, urging all of us in this room to do more, and we're already exhausted. I get it. But we live in a moment with opportunities to act boldly, and we must meet the moment, because this is our time. We cannot afford to let our exhaustion speak for us or to get stuck in our own darkness. There's a crack in everything, as the late, great Leonard Cohen sang, and that's how the light gets in. We are on that edge, going from dark to light, cracking open from the pandemic and emerging from the shadows of challenging decades. Amanda Gorman ends her poem, The Hill We Climb, writing, "There is always light, if only we're brave enough to see it, if only we're brave enough to be it." There have been so many long and dark nights these past few years, but the light is here. The hope of dawn is before us, waiting for our deep embrace. And so this is my commitment to you and my challenge for us, to be there, to be brave. We are ready and we are worthy. So together, may we be bold enough to find this light. May we be courageous enough to follow it. And together, all of us, may we be brave enough to be it. Thank you.
Well, as she walks back to her seat, I want to thank the mayor one more time, as well as everybody else who put the event on tonight. At this time, I would like to invite the color guard back up to help us retire the colors. If everybody could please stand again. Let's give them one more round of applause. Thank you, everyone, for being with us here in person or from home tonight. I wish you a healthy and happy 2022 and hope to see you around town soon. And as the legendary Dennis Anderson would say, because I've always wanted to do this, good night, everyone, and be kind. This concludes the program. Thank you.